Hi Stampers, today I'm going to show you how to make this cute pop-up gift card holder. It's a little shopping bag inside of your card. So this one is one I posted online. It's a regular 4 1/4 by 11 and the gift box or the gift bag is in the center. And then I made another one which is still 4 1/4 by 11, but it opens like a trifold, and there's the gift bag. Isn't that cute? This is made with the birthday celebration stamp set and birthday wildflower DSP. This one is scored at 1 3/4 by 7. But I wanted to show you today just how to make the little gift bag to put inside your card. And it doesn't even have to be a fancy card like this. I'm going to make one and put it inside this card that I just showed earlier. We're just going to make the bag, and I'm going to show you how easy it is. Now, for this card, you're going to need a piece of designer paper that's 4 by 9.5. And if it does have a one-way pattern, you want it to be cut this way, because this is the way the bag is going to be, the top and the bottom. So think about your pattern if you have one. Again, 4 by 9.5, and I'll leave this here in case you want to take a screenshot, and I will have a PDF of directions to go with this later. You're going to score this long edge at 1/2, 1, 4.5, 5, 5.5, and 9. And then you're going to turn it and score it at 1 and 3.5, which is really 1 from this side and 1/2 from this side. So the only thing that's important to know is that the 1 inch score is going to be your top of the bag, and the 1/2 inch flap is going to be the bottom. It really doesn't matter if you have these two on this side. I sometimes make my scoring different than other people hold their trimmer. So it really doesn't matter, because it's going to get like a little gusset on the end. They're going to fold into each other, and you will see that in a minute. So let me take this away and get out my paper trimmer and show you how easy this is. So again, this is where I sometimes do things differently than people. I hold my paper at the bottom of my trimmer. And it really doesn't matter as long as you get the first one is 1/2 inch. And again, doesn't matter if this is on the other side or the right side or the left side. So 1/2 inch, and then 1 inch. And then 4.5. Again, I'm scoring this 4.5, 5, 5.5, and then the last one is 9. So I can pull this way out and do 9, but it really is just 1/2 inch. I cut it 1/2 inch from the other edge. So I hope that makes sense. And then we're going to turn it. Again, the top edge should be here. That's going to be scored at 1 inch. Don't cut it like I did. That's going to be 1 inch. And then 3.5, which again is just going to be 1/2 inch from this edge. So whatever is easier for you to understand with the math, go for it. Now this may be a little bit hard to see, so I'm going to pull this back in, and I'm going to go ahead and fold on all my score lines. If I had tape here, I would tape this, but I don't see it. We'll make it work. I'm going to fold on all these score lines. It makes it a little bit easier to cut, I think. Maybe hard for you to see, but when you're doing it, you'll be able to see a little bit better. And again, this is going to help. So I'm going to go ahead and have my 1 inch at the top. Oh, that's not going to matter anyway because I'm going to cut that off. So I'm going to cut off the corner piece there. And then, yeah, see this one, well, actually, depends on which side of the paper you use. This is the side, the way I have it here. But if I changed my mind midway, I could still do it and it would still work. I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm not confusing you. So then I'm going to cut up these in the middle. Get rid of this excess we don't need. It's this between the score lines. I'm cutting right on the score lines and cutting this out. And then the other end has 2 sets of score lines. Again, I'm cutting that out. It's hard to see. It's the narrow one. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of these. So again, this is going to be how it looks. And if I changed my mind and wanted to do that, it's still going to work. Now, what you'll want to do, let's say, I'm going to use this for the outside. So this is the top. You'll want to, if you're kind of a little bit exact, otherwise you can eyeball this, but just below this score line, we're going to glue this to the inside of the bag, and I want to hide where my ribbon is. So I'm going to mark here 3/4 of an inch from each of these score lines. Okay, now I could do it again over here, but what I'm going to do is actually just fold it so I can cut them both at the same time. That's not right. Hold on. There. Okay, make sure you're getting it where they're lined up, the front and the back. This little gusset. Okay. Hope I didn't confuse you there. I'm just trying to save time and to make this easier. So I'm going to hold them together, and I'm going to use my hole punch and punch out just below that score line. It's about 3/4 in. Again, if you don't want to measure it, you don't have to. You just want to get it below that score line. And if you're nervous about doing it together, just leave it open and do it punch, 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 punch. But that way they're both the same. Okay, so then I have about 5 inches of ribbon or twine, and I'm going to feed it through from the front of the bag to the inside of the bag. All right, you want to make sure that this is, if you're using ribbon, that you have it nice and flat. Okay, so that it's going flat like this. If it's cord, it really doesn't matter. It'll just be rounded. All right, so you want that to look nice. And then on the inside, so you just leave about 1/2 inch showing. And then I'm going to take my tearing tape, and I'm going to use this to tape it down. And this is also going to help me close the flap. So I'm going to put the tearing tape there. And then I'm going to put a piece of tearing tape up at the top, up here. And when you're using tearing tape, make sure you burnish that down so that it's easy to pull up the paper. Sometimes if you don't do that, you pull the adhesive right back up with it. So I'm going to pull that up. And then just close that, and that finishes off the inside of the bag and hides any kind of knot or the end of the ribbon there. Okay, now if this is too much work for you, you could easily just pull this through, tape it or tie a knot, and not even have this flap, but I just think this is going to make it look a lot nicer and be nice and finished. If you're going to the trouble to make this pretty card, you can just do that little extra step. Okay, so I'm just going to pull that back again so that about 1/2 inch is showing, making sure my ribbon is one nice flat loop. Take some tear and tape to tape these down, burnish it, and then take a section of tear and tape and put it at the top. Got that too long. Okay. That's probably the only really fussy thing you have to worry about. Oh, I just thought of something else. You'll want to, on the bottom, cut these flaps on a diagonal just to make it a little bit less bulky. So I just kind of cut those in like that. All right, so, all right, I'm getting distracted. Okay, so now this is your gusset on your bag. So whatever side, it doesn't matter where you folded it, scored it. You can have gussets on one side, and then this is going to be down and back. And then this one's going to get attached to it. So you can either attach, okay, this flap sticking out. You can either go to the inside of that bag. Do you see how that is? Here's the single flap. It can go to the back of this, or you could do it on the top of that. It really doesn't matter, whichever is easier for you. Personally, I think it's easier. I'm just going to use, well, I'll go ahead and do tear and tape. You probably want to use tear and tape or liquid glue so that this doesn't fall apart, because it'll be getting a lot of opening and closing, and you just don't want it to come apart. So let's use tear and tape. Doesn't take that much longer. So I put it on the inside of that flap that's by itself, and then I'm going to put it onto the outside of the other piece. All right, and that's just going to make my bag. It's going to be like a valley, peak, mountain, peak, valley, mountain, peak fold. Okay, so there is the bag. Now the bottom, okay, you'll want to again use tear and tape or the liquid adhesive, because again, you don't want this to come up with all the opening and closing of the card. And when I did this the first time, mine did come apart, so I went back and did liquid glue. But for the convenience of time, I'm just going to use the tear and tape. But liquid glue, I think, will definitely hold it more than the tear and tape if you're opening and closing a lot. So there's my bag. These are flat, okay? And then all you're going to do, and I should have mentioned that originally when I made this, and I can see again I didn't check, this is going to stick out a little bit. So that's why when I made this card, I wanted it was going to be opened up like this, and these were too big. So I just turned it so that it would stay within the card. That's why I designed it this way. But I wanted to do one this way, so I should have been more careful about the length of this ribbon. Okay, but we can close that in and it'll still be in so that you can mail it. All right, so that's something to think about. So what you're going to do is just put it in the middle. Now here's your score. All right, so we're going to peel up one of the sides, And we're going to center it top to bottom and put it just before that score mark. Okay, so now it's glued to this part of the card, just right before the score. And then I'm going to peel this up and just close my card. Okay. Burnishing it also helps it stick. And then when you open the card, it will pop up. Isn't that the cutest thing? So you don't have to do a fancy decorated card. It's just a way of making the bag and gluing it down that you need to know. And again, I would just be careful of the length of these ribbons, but for this one, you could just tuck it in. Cute. I hope you'll give this a try. And did you notice this one I put some tissue in, makes it look kind of cute too. And then this one just tucks behind here. So I hope you'll give this a try. And thanks for stopping by.